you've got to have intentionality throughout each step. If you're not owning it as the entrepreneur or salesperson or the person who's leading the sales team, and then eventually your salespeople are owning their own pipeline, then nothing ever really truly comes out the other side. You can have leads coming in the pipeline. You can have some deals coming out, but it won't be this efficient machine of leads coming in, being worked properly, and then popping out as many deals as possible. What's up, Driven to Win Nation? Chaz Wolfe coming to you here today. What if you could master sales in just a few principles? That's what we're going to talk about here today. I've got a background in all kinds of sales development personally, but then also I've trained probably at this point thousands of salespeople and entrepreneurs. And my hope here today on this episode is to bring some just tried and true principles to you that can elevate your business or your sales team to the next level. And we've been able to do this repeatedly in my own companies, as well as when I was a sales coach before for multiple other companies. These are tried and true principles. And so I just want to give you what has not only made me personally millions in W-2 commission as a salesperson, but also principles that have created millions in revenue for my own companies. We're going to jump right in here. Principle number one is mindset and ownership. There's a mindset of ownership, and then you have mindset and ownership. And so we're gonna kind of break this down just a little bit here, but you have to have a resilience mindset when you're a salesperson or when you're training your sales team. And it's not going to get you through everything in sales, but that thick skin, that ability just to keep on going is absolutely a principle that you've got to hold on to. So if you got to ask yourself some tough questions here. Do you like rejection? Well, the answer should be no. Not any of us like rejection. However, I became addicted to the rejection when I realized that, and when I switched my mindset from, that I was afraid of it or I didn't want to, get to it, from that to if the more I got to it, the more money I made. And so the more no's that you get, the more deals typically that you close. And that feels backwards until you've been in sales or you've been, building your company for a while and you understand what I'm saying, but it still feels a little sticky. And so that's the mindset portion of understanding what persistence and resilience looks like, is that it looks like picking up the phone no matter what and making a sales call or following up on a lead no matter what, and almost separated from the emotional tie of whatever response that you get, right? The emotional response of the client, whether they're signing or telling you to never call again and hanging up on you. Our response as salespeople or entrepreneurs has to be one of resilience, which is I'm just going to keep going. And it doesn't actually matter what response I get. In fact, I start to then realize the more calls I make, typically the more no's or rejection I'm going to get. But in the mix of that, I'm going to close more deals. And so that's the mindset portion of it. Ownership is, as a salesperson, you might be listening to this, but a lot of entrepreneurs listen to the show. And so as an entrepreneur, you've got to own your pipeline. As a salesperson, you have to own your pipeline. As an entrepreneur, you own your business, but there is what we're talking about is like an ownership factor of the pipeline. And you have to have a sales process. So that's a little bit of a give. And I'm just assuming that you have a sales process. If you don't, then feel free to reach out to me at gatheringthekings.com and we can chat with you about your sales process. I don't train specifically on sales process any longer, so I'm not going to sell you anything. I'm happy to go back and forth with you on that. I did create a sales course years ago that we give to all of our members at no additional cost. But you have to have a sales process that you're following. But in the sales process, you're owning each step along the way. And really that's because you've got to have intentionality throughout each step. And so if you're not owning it as the entrepreneur or salesperson or the person who's leading the sales team, and then eventually your salespeople are owning their own pipeline, then nothing ever really truly comes out the other side. You can have leads coming in the pipeline, right? And you can have some deals coming out, but it won't be this efficient machine of leads coming in, being worked properly, and then popping out as many deals as possible, unless the person that's working the pipeline has this ownership mentality where I'm owning every single step of the sales process. I'm owning every single step of the follow-up process. And I know exactly where my prospects are in the pipeline. And I know what deals are coming, what deals have just been sold. Because I just sold some deals, I know what I need to go do as far as prospecting and refilling the pipeline. All of those things are like a knowledge confidence piece because I own it, right? Is that ownership or that extreme ownership mentality. Okay. We're going to jump into core principle number 2 here. This is building trust and understanding people. I love building trust and understanding people. And you obviously have to do this as an entrepreneur. You know this, but you might be thinking, I'm super introverted, or I've never had sales training, or I don't know how to work a relationship with another person very well. I'm just kind of bumbling around. And what I would say first off is that you don't have to be anyone that you aren't. And that might sound like a little bit of a conundrum, but you've got to be genuine. You've got to be you. And so if you are really outspoken and you like to use your hands when you talk, then great, you should do that. If that's not you, then don't do that. So I'm going to just set you at ease, knowing that however you are, your genuine person, that's how you should be with your prospects in the sales process, or your clients as you're even working with them after you've sold them. You shouldn't ever try to be something or someone that you're not. They're going to pick up on that, and that doesn't build trust. Some other things that you can do to build trust, though, are going to be, being systematic, right? So as they're following you through the sales process, they can trust that you are confident, that you know what you're doing, that you've done this before because you're at ease, because you're following, a process. Notice how I didn't say necessarily following a script. It's okay to have a script, but some things come out a little differently each time because maybe their needs are a little different. The general flow should be the same. And that's what's going to give me the confidence to the client that I know what I'm doing. I've done this before. They can trust me. And so there's some other elements here, around active listening. I used to teach in my sales course and with thousands of other salespeople that it was like going on a date. And I just imagine sitting down, to a first date. And I immediately lean over with my notepad and my pen, and I'm going, okay, what's your favorite color? What's your social security number? What's your favorite food? Where did you grow up? Like, kind of weird to just do that in that order, as opposed to when you are actively listening. This is a skill set that you have when you can listen to the answer that they've given you and then formulate your next answer based on the answer that they just gave to you. So you're going to formulate your next question, based on the answer that they just gave to you. So you might still have these lists of questions that I just asked, these kind of random questions, but instead of saying, where are you from? They answer, and then you say, what's your shoe size? Which has nothing to do with the answer that I just got. I'm going to actively listen to what they just said. They're from Columbia, Missouri. Oh, are you a Tigers fan? Right? Because I know that's where Mizzou is. Or maybe I didn't know that. And you're like, oh, Columbia, where is that? Right? The next question that I'm formulating is based on my skill set of active listening to the answer that they just gave. And I'm going to formulate another question based on that. Okay. That will be one of the quickest ways to develop trust with another human. And you can do this with anybody. This is not just a sales prospect or a client. Try next time you go to a barbecue. Try just swifting away into a conversation and asking a question, listening to their answer, formulate the next question based on the answer that they just gave to you, and keep doing that. And I kind of have a visual in my mind of, you ask a question and then they give you an answer. And then you're going to ask a question based on that answer. You just keep going deep. And eventually you're going to maybe transition and ask another type of questions over here, maybe a different, vertical of questions. But you can go a lot deeper than you realize. And specifically in sales, and when you're building trust with clients, the deeper that you can go, the better, because it gives them an opportunity to share probably things that most people don't get to ask. And as entrepreneurs, and if you are either leading a sales team or you're doing the sales in your business, those things that they're sharing are probably likely the very things that you're going to need in order to A, know exactly what they want, and then to be able to B, sell them a specific product that you have that can solve that specific problem. But if you're asking no questions or shallow questions, you're not building trust, and they're not getting out the things that they need to share so that you can deliver well. Hopefully this is making sense, guys. Understanding people, man, this is such a superpower. I have studied, personality traits for a very, very long time, okay? Lots of different books, different assessments. Inside of Gathering the Kings, we give access to the predictive index for all of our clients, and predictive index, along with many others, but it's the one that we use. I just find it's the most scientific. I feel like it's the most collaborative. They use the most technology. Regardless of all that, though, what I'm able to learn from an assessment like that or different personality books is I can know who I'm talking to. But before I can know who I'm talking to, I know who I am. Okay. And so you guys have probably, if you listen to this show before, maybe you're new here, you don't know that I'm a serial entrepreneur. You don't know that I've had a lot of sales experience. And so some of these things are learned for me. I am not, like, if you had surveyed me, 15 years ago, I would not have shown up as an extrovert. But the predictive index assessment that I just took just a few months ago shows me extroverted, and not by a little bit, but by quite a bit. And so why is that? It's because I've been able to modify myself because I value what it means to be energetic and have a pleasing personality and to have a presence. And so all of these things that I find value in, I've now then modified myself so that I can show up in a different way, right? So can you imagine me doing this episode right now, whether you're listening or whether you're watching on YouTube, and me talking like this, and me being a little bit more introverted and maybe not as much energy, right? You probably wouldn't listen for very long, right? But if I can be theatrical and I can give some energy to the call and I can speak up and use my diaphragm and speak like I'm trying to deliver some passion to you, then you're probably going to receive the information a little bit better. That doesn't mean that it's not me. It just means that I know how to show up in this environment in order to deliver the information properly. And I know that because I know me. I also know the other person on the other side. You're an entrepreneur. You're down to earth. You're family oriented. You're growth minded. And so you're probably listening, in between a job site, or you're listening while you're working out or on your way back home from the office, and you're going to meet up with your family. Because of these things, I can deliver information in a specific way. And you can do these same things. Know yourself and then know others. I can get on a phone call or a Zoom with you right now, and within seconds probably, but let's just say at worst case, a few minutes, I can know generally what makes you tick. And not just because of the questions I'm asking and the information that you're giving, but yes, that's some of it. It's the interaction between the two of us, right? I know how detailed you are. I know how extroverted that you are, or lack thereof, right? And I can know these things within just a few minutes. And because of that knowledge, I can then modify myself in a way that would deliver the information properly. Okay. Same thing for kids. I have 4 children, 4 absolutely different personalities, right? And so you're listening right now, you're a parent, you get it, that you have to deliver information slightly different, the same information, but you're delivering it different to each of your children in order to get the best results. And that's why understanding people in your sales process is so important. Okay. Core principle number 3, mastering the sales process with consistency. We've talked about having a sales process. The general flow of the process that I used to teach is open, discovery, presentation, close. Those are the 4 steps of any sale. Open, discovery, presentation, close. It's going to go in that order, and it's going to go in that order every single time, no matter what, unless you mess it up. And so that's the consistency part of it, is that I know what order I'm going in. I know what I'm going to do in each step. I know my goal in each step, right? When I'm opening up the call or the meeting, my goal is to create authority and to let them know the purpose of the phone call or the opportunity that we have to meet together that day. Right? I'm going to get right into discovery, where I'm asking questions, getting to know them, building trust. We kind of just talked about this a little bit. Active listening unto being able to pull out information that I might need. Maybe it's their pain points. Maybe it's what they're trying to accomplish, so that I can see if I can help them. Right? Then I'm going to move into my presentation, where it gives me the ability to capture their attention and present my product in a way that matches what they've just told me in the discovery. I'm going to keep it short. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to make it make sense. I'm going to keep it logical and make numbers and dot I's and cross T's for them in a simple way, because a confused mind doesn't buy. Right? And so I want to bring it all together for them and then go, yeah, this is exactly what I need. Right? And then obviously in the close, I'm just assuming it mostly, but there's obviously objection handling if necessary. Typically for us, especially with Gathering the Kings, because we're pretty relationship based and it's a community of entrepreneurs, I'm not really interested in just like slamming somebody in. I'm interested in the harmony of the group. And so we've got certain qualifications, and I'm way more interested in like pressing on them a little harder, not to overcome their objection, but to align with them, whether it's their decision-making timeline, whether it's something that's going on in their family that's keeping them from being able to, sign today. And there's a lot of other people that do this differently. A lot of people try to force that sale on the same meeting, the same call, same day. And we do the same thing even in my construction company. We ask for the business right then and there when we give them the presentation. There's nothing wrong with that. But also knowing the audience, knowing the offer, and how those people are going to best respond to that is going to be very, very good. Okay? So knowing the sales process, mastering the sales process, is doing it the same way every single time, no matter what. And then, get some feedback. Listen to your calls, listen to your Zooms, listen to your meetings, record yourself, have somebody else listen to you, and get some feedback to where you guys can continue to grow. When I was a sales trainer, I used to meet with salespeople that were the best in the company, but I still met with them. It's not like because they were the best, they didn't need help anymore, because we all have maybe tendencies or maybe bad habits. And it doesn't take long for a person, entrepreneur, salesperson to kind of fall off the wagon because they start ad-libbing. They start doing things outside of what they've been doing. It's so funny how we do this as humans. We start doing things that were different from what got us to where we are. It's just the oddest thing. Like we work out and then we stop working out and then we wonder why we've gained weight or lost muscle. It's the same thing with sales. You've got a process. If you don't have a process, you need to create the process. You can use the framework that I've just given you. You can reach out. We can help you with that. But in that, you got to keep doing it, right? It's the repetitions that make you better. And then it's the little tweaks of listening to the calls and getting better with tonality and knowing personalities, all the fun stuff that can make you better. But you also you're safeguarding from falling off the wagon, because I've seen it time and time again where people just start to do things a little different. It's probably just our crave for something different. Maybe a crave for a little chaos. Maybe a self-sabotage sometimes, but for whatever reason, we just start doing things a little different than what has got us the success that we have, as opposed to safeguarding and going, no, this is the process. Open discovery, presentation, close. These are the questions that I'm asking. This is what leads to success. I'm going to do it this way every single time, no matter what. And that consistency will breed confidence. And the more consistency and more confidence you have, the more deals you close. That's just how it works. Okay. Core principle number 4 is confident closing without hard selling. I kind of just hinted on this a few minutes ago. It is such an incredible power, a superpower, really. If you are able to get to the end of the sales meeting and they are just super excited to sign up or to purchase your product, right? And you don't even really have to ask. I mean, I'm always going to suggest that you ask. Are you ready to sign up, right? Could we have the honor of remodeling your bathroom? Like, you got to ask for the business. However, in that moment, you're either going to hear, I would love that, or yes, or you're going to hear objections, right? And it's my firm belief that the hard, have to overcome objections, got a one-liner for everything. Typically, that it's a little bit older mindset when it comes to sales. There's definitely still sales training systems that promote this, but it's not relationship based. It's not active listening based. And if you're doing those things correctly earlier in the sales process, then guess what? This person feels comfortable. They feel confident that they can trust you, that your product is what they need. And all of these things lead to a non-hard sale at the end, because you've already done the work in the discovery of learning what they really truly need, building trust and rapport, and then presenting in a simple way where it makes sense for them. Yeah, why wouldn't I do this? This makes too much sense, right? The hard sale typically comes from the person that skips over asking questions, or they don't ask very deep questions. And what that tells me is that person really doesn't care. They don't really care about the prospect. They don't really care about their position, what they truly need. They're really just commission hungry. And so that person then has to be really good at overcoming objections, really good at the hard sale. And I've just never seen that personality inside of sales do well long term. Eventually, they fall off whatever horse that they're on. But the ones that I see doing extremely well over the course of a long time have the principles that we've discussed here. And so the confidence the confidence in closing without doing the hard sale are going to come from genuine, approach to learning about your customer, learning about what it is that they need, recognizing buying signals throughout the process, right? And not trying to close too soon, right? They're ready to close when they're ready to close, and of course we could probably speed up the process. We can kind of maybe force them into a decision today. There's a lot of people that I have conversations with around, gathering the kings and joining our mastermind community. And as you can imagine, there's different reasons why someone doesn't join today. It's usually timing, a little bit money related. We're not the cheapest, but, timing or maybe family timing, and that's okay. What I want to do is align with those things, so that way I'm not trying to just overcome this secret objection. I'm sure probably some circumstances where I missed the opportunity to like overcome it right now and get the sale today. But what has served me so well, not just even in the pretty transactional advertising sales that I used to do versus a very, very relationship sale with selling a mastermind community, what has served me in both of those is being very relational, being very understanding of the other person. And even in that, I can help them understand their timeline better. I can help them speed things up. But what I'm not doing is giving a hard sale and just throwing them in, because they're not going to stick very long anyway. And I've just found it so much better on the backside for them and for me, rather than a member looking to quit 3 months from now, or, an advertising client being upset with how we're working things because they really didn't want to sign up anyway, but we convinced them. And so they spent all this money, and then it's just like, we were never going to win for them anyway. This is speaking of some of my ad agency days. It's just, we were never going to be able to get them to a place where they trusted us fully because the sales guy just threw them in. All right. Core principle number 5, reviewing and reflecting performance. I mentioned this earlier, but the best salespeople don't just work hard, they work smart. There's all kinds of technology opportunities around recordings. Even AI can do assessments and call recording coaching for you. You can put your recorded call into AI and out pops an assessment. Where do they feel like you lost control of the call? Where do they feel like you could have asked better questions, been more in tune with the customer's needs? I mean, there's just so many tools today that there's just absolutely no excuse. And typically what I find is that people say, well, I just don't have time, or I don't like to listen to myself. And a master of their trade, whether we're talking sales or just as a business owner, it's our absolute job to master things. Otherwise, you're just always going to be average. Average input doesn't get extraordinary or above average output. You've got to really master the things that it takes on the inputs in order to get this just incredible result. So if you want to double, triple your business, you can't just go get more leads. That's a good portion of it. You need double, triple the leads. But if you don't increase your ability to close via the things that we've talked about here, these principles, it's just not going to matter that much. And so reviewing your performance, tonality, reviewing how many calls you're making, reviewing the stats, reviewing, your closing percentages, reviewing how well you stayed on track in the sales process, like all these things that you can review and have AI help you with. There's just no excuse for it. Especially if you have a team, you need to have an environment inside the business where reviewing calls or getting together on a regular basis in a huddle to work together on being better is absolutely a must needed thing. I mean, I can remember role playing every single day in a huddle when I worked in like an office environment, even remote. I mean, you could role play every single day if you wanted to. It's kind of cool with Gathering the Kings. We've got a couple different offers. We've got a family mastermind vacation that we do that we get leads in for, and then of course our mastermind community has all different types of tiers and stuff. But those calls sound a little differently. But generally, my team knows what those calls sound like, what they're trying to accomplish, whether they're setting an appointment or whether we're signing someone up. But knowing those types of calls and then reviewing them in a specific way that gives you the ability to get better is absolutely leverage for getting more sales. Okay. All right. Real quick recap here. We talked about principles that will help you master sales. And those principles are this. Core principle number 1 is mindset and ownership. The mindset we talked about was around resilience and owning the pipeline for the ownership piece. Core principle number 2 was building trust and understanding people. Man, we could do a whole show just on that. It's incredible. You need to know yourself. You need to know other people, and you need to act with other people in a way that builds trust. Okay. Core principle number 3, mastering the sales process with consistency. There is an absolute sales process. If you don't have one, you need one right now. Don't scroll past this until you've written down open discovery, presentation, close, and figure that out for you. You can also reach out to us at gatheringthekings.com and schedule an appointment with us. We can help you with that. That's no problem. Core principle number 4 is confidence in closing without the hard sale or the push. Doesn't mean that we don't help people in their decision making or help them or guide them to a good decision today or maybe later today or tomorrow or next week. It just it's doing the work earlier in the sales process, to help align and get people where they need to be based on what their needs are. And then core principle number 5, reviewing and reflecting on performance. Just so important. The top salespeople, top business owners do what it takes to master these skills and master the statistics that go along with them. So that way you know where the breakdown is. Okay. Guys, I hope this was good. We haven't done too many of these solo episodes. So if this is good and this is helpful, give us some comments down below. We appreciate you. And of course, we're always willing to help, whether you are a solo entrepreneur or you are doing, tens of millions of dollars. There are people just like you inside of Gathering the Kings. We meet together weekly, monthly, quarterly, sometimes even in person, and we're helping each other win in all areas. And business, sales, all this stuff is part of that. We're also winning in family, in marriage, health, faith, lifestyle. And if you need to be in a room of other winners in 2025 because you want to grow to the next level, then reach out to us at gatheringthekings.com and you can fill out an application there. We can chat with you about one of our membership tiers, whether it's our family membership tier or one of our business tiers. We can definitely help you out with that and get you in a room of people or families that want to go to the next level in all areas. We appreciate you.